I'm Steph. I'm the founder of Chulo Japanese inspired drinks. They're kind of a sour style soda, which is going for the non-alcoholic trend and people with a thirst for things that are a little bit out of the ordinary. And today we're putting the fun in fundraising with the Purposeful project, which is a really amazing project who helps me in my entrepreneurial journey. And so I just want to help everyone do the same. So over the course of the next kind of 20 minutes, we're going to be talking about some of the key themes to having a business ready for investment. We're going to be talking a little bit about how to validate your idea. If you've got this amazing business idea, but not sure where to go, I've got some ideas on how you can validate cheaply or free. And we're going to go into how you can secure funding when the time is right. So the first one, have a story. So as I said, I'm the founder of Chulo Japanese inspired soft drinks. I'm clearly not Japanese, but I have a story which starts in the Royal Navy. So these are some pictures of me in 2018 when I went on a trip to Japan with the Royal Navy. Lasted 10 months and we travelled across to the Far East. We spent 4 months in Japan. As a picture of me in Japan, just on the right-hand side of your screens. And whilst I was in Japan, I kind of fell in love with the people, the culture, the food, the drink, and this really special drink in particular called a chuhai. And when I returned to the UK, I wanted that same sour fizz kick that I'd had whilst I was in Japan. And when I couldn't find it anywhere, I decided to make my own version. So I invented chuhai. We're kind of saying sayonara to boring soft drinks. And we're taking on what is quite a sleepy soft drinks market, which has been broadly unchanged for the last kind of 50 years. So kind of taking matters into our own hands. Over the last year or so, we've had some really cool success, amazing partnerships with Yo Sushi, which is a UK Japanese sushi chain. We're in a bunch of wholesalers. Like, this slide is almost out of date before I even finish writing it sometimes, because we're now stocked in Belong gaming arenas. And we completed filming with Gordon Ramsay on Future Food Stars, which was a really interesting experience for anyone that watched it. And so I have a story, and that is the base of my business and how I kind of market my business when I'm talking to buyers, investors, and other entrepreneurs. And so I didn't just build this business overnight. I had to prove it. So to start a drinks business, you need quite a lot of money. I didn't have that. I had a little bit of savings from my time when I was away, and I put those savings to a special use, which was to validate my idea. And this should be the first step for anyone with a business idea. So it might be an amazing idea, but until you validated it, it's not going to be viable for you to just quit your job and go into that business. So I use local support. I'm from Manchester, which is part of the Northern Powerhouse. And if you are kind of wherever you are in the UK, there is an equivalent in your area. So my localized company that helps me with business is called the Growth Company. And they put me on to all sorts of kind of different funding options, different kind of ways of starting a business with local support, which meant that I didn't have to put out my own money. And it meant that I could develop and do market research, costing not very much or nothing at all. There's also an element of accountability. So if you find your local growth hub, so ours is the Growth Company, there's the Midlands Engine, there's a Scottish Edge, there's lots of different versions of this. So if you Google business support in my area, you will get directed to your local hub, and they can then refer you to special things. So I was part of the Manchester Youth Markets, where I traded on Deansgate, and I sold people my cans. I got like the minimum viable product, and it cost me, I think, £5,000 to develop the first ever cans. And then from there, I sold it. I showed it to people. I said, what do you think of the flavour? What do you think of the designs? And when enough people said yes, that was my point at which I go, okay, cool, there's something in this. So you take the next step. So once you've proven your idea, you've used maybe you can do Facebook ads. You can put kind of 100 quid in Facebook ads. And if you get traction for your idea through Facebook ads, then that's a form of validation. There's lots of different ways you can validate your business. I'll go through a few more in a minute. Once you've validated, you can go on to the next step. So for me, that was getting a startup loan. And so in the UK, there's a startup loan scheme which will give you up to £25,000 for your business idea. to make it a reality. And so I went for Virgin Startup Loans, but there's lots of different ones. And if you're in a specific profession, like a nurse or ex-forces or anything like that, then there are specific startup loan categories for you. And the great thing about Virgin Startups for me was that it came with a mentor, and it came with quite a low interest rate, and it's paid over 5 years. So you kind of hardly notice it on your entrepreneurial journey, but you get all that support. And even now, Virgin Startups and I have a really great relationship, and we talk about the business, and I do things similar to the Purposeful project with Virgin Startups. So that's also very cool. And there's other accelerators and schemes that you can do, which are funded by various banks, universities, you name it. Like, they've all got something that is trying to build business in the UK. So I was part of the NatWest Accelerator, who gave free working space, free mentoring, and free business help in development. And so all of these systems are out there. They're all free, and they're all there to help you take your business idea from something that you thought of on like a Saturday night to something that is a viable business and you can quit your job. So the first thing when you're validating your idea is to do a little bit of market research. So to me, this is like a broad spectrum of where we think we sit in the market. So Chulo drinks, as I said, it's like sour Japanese inspired soda, and you need to work out where you fit in the market. So I really like these like cross diagrams. And if you get your competition, you want to scope out where they are, what they're doing, and find your gap. If you can find a gap, then that's where you can make your money and you can make a mark. So we fit in the slightly premium, quite differentiated drink section, because there are no other sour soft drinks on the market, but we're not like at the lower end with Rubicon and Iron Brew. We are kind of a specialist independent brand who have an exciting product that people love and continue to love, thankfully. So this is a picture of me market testing, as I said, with Manchester Youth Markets. So it's free for me to trade there. Another organisation which is great is called Enterprise Nation. So again, they help with free business support. If that's setting you up on a pop-up in Deansgate, then they'll help you out with that. And also they help with kind of business development planning and various things. And so we're always talking about how to validate that idea. Okay, so I managed to validate my business back in 2019 to the point at which I took out a loan. And with that loan, I was able to kind of move on to the next step and move on to more flavors and bigger production and cheaper production because of the different hoops you're jumping through. But this isn't going to happen overnight. You can actually see in this picture, I had 3 buckets where people could choose the flavor. I don't know if anyone's heard of like Innocent Drinks, but one of their tests were, should we quit our jobs or should we stick in our day job? And they had like different tasting cups when people were trying the smoothies, and if they liked it, they put it in the quit your day job, and then if they didn't like it, they put it don't quit your day job. And so by the end of the day, they had a full bucket of quit your day job and start smoothies, and the empty bucket was don't quit your day job. So that was their form of validation. My form was stood on Deansgate selling my products. I sold enough products to kind of justify the next step, which is where we moved on to. And we're lucky enough to win a couple of awards. Again, these are external ways of proving your concept. And some awards you have to pay for. I've never paid for an award ever, so I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. But if they're free to enter, things like the Great British Entrepreneur Awards and the Federation of Small Business Awards are free to enter. And not only do you get great publicity, it's really good practice. And it's a really nice way of kind of sitting back and actually seeing what you've achieved. So these are all ways to validate your business and build your DNA. If you imagine everything you do for your business adds a little bit of value to your business, then each of these awards is worth kind of like £100. And it's like you slowly build up these little awards and accreditations and forms of validation, which then add to the value of your company, which helps when you come to later equity raise. It's things that you can brag about. I think any entrepreneur that started a business during lockdown will agree that you don't start a business during a pandemic. So we're just going to skip over 2020 and 2021 and go into kind of 2022. So this is when things really start going. Okay, so you've validated your idea, you've used all of your money that you'd saved and that you've put aside towards your side hustle. You're generating a little bit of money, but you want to take it to the next step. So this is the point at which you can apply for some grant funding. And so there's a couple of different organizations you can use for grant funding. If you're under 30, there's something called the Prince's Trust, which is the most amazing organization you can imagine. Like I got £500 from the Prince's Trust to start with literally just an idea of a business. And they said, use this £500 to get your designs done, to get them printed out and go around every bar in Manchester and try to find enough people to say yes to your product to make it viable. This is like a form of validating. And that £500 was literally for nothing. And that was the Prince's Trust. They have much more generous grants than that, depending on your area and what you spend your time doing. They can give you, they have a massive one, which is, I think they pay you something like £5,000 in a grant, and there's a follow-on grant for £50,000. And those kind of numbers are really life-changing for some people. And it's a really brilliant organisation if you're under 30. If you're not under 30, there is another organisation which is called Innovate UK. And so Innovate UK have this year announced that they're releasing £38 billion for research. So out of everybody in the UK, your allowance from the government for innovation should be around £577 per head. So if everyone in the country did innovation, that's how much it would be. So what are you doing that justifies your money? So Innovate UK, anything you do to do with innovation can qualify for a grant. And these guys' grants go between kind of £5,000 to £1 million, depending on your vision and your form of innovation. So it's done through smart grants. So if you're doing developing something that doesn't exist and it needs to exist because it's going to help save the world, or it's going to reduce emissions, or it's going to help with different problems in society, then the government has money set aside for you to do those things. Another way you can do it is through a research and development grant, which we claim every year. And this is like a 30% rebate on your business, where you can spend, you've spent the money on streamlining your IT or developing. So for us, we developed a new packaging. So this is like the old packaging in plastic wrap. And then we've got new packaging, which is in aluminium cans. And that innovation helped get us some of that funding back. So make sure that you're taking advantage of these funding options that are available. So these are just some examples of what people did to claim back their money last year. So we've got 51% bought in new business practices, whether that be like automated emails, kind of streamlining and efficiency in IT. You've got people that are doing more methods of work. So things like making a machine sort things rather than doing it themselves. That's a form of innovation. You've got innovation for new products, which is what we've done. We've released a couple of new flavors in the last year. So all of that is new innovation that didn't exist. We've got things like improved processes. So another thing that we've done is we're cooking our cans through the process at a lower temperature because we've researched it. And so we're kind of saving emissions on that. And then changing in marketing concepts. So if you've got a really brilliant idea for TikTok, and you put some money into advertising spend and it works, and you move on and you keep doing those things, that's innovation and that's research. And that is what the government is funding with the research and development grants. So those are a couple of options. But if you want the big money, the big grants, you need to appeal to one of the government strategies. So this is a copy of like the government strategy from this year. And what they do is they outline a couple of key aims, things that they want to achieve in the UK in order to make the UK a better place. So I've actually summarized it here for you, so you don't even have to read it, but they are growing AI and data economy, so things like apps and efficiencies in AI. You've got clean growth, so anything to reduce emissions and boost productivity. You've got mobility, which is to do with kind of robotics and also kind of electric vehicles, anything to do with that sort of technology, and aging society. So this is making life in old age more comfortable for older people so that they can continue to contribute to the economy as like older generations. And so that is kind of the research and development grants, but it's quite hard to get cold hard cash into your bank account as a grant, but there are ways that you can get help which doesn't cost anything. So we've got a really good relationship with Manchester University, and every year we get a selection of interns who come and research for us, and that research can be anything from marketing to kind of our competition, like what are they up to. They helped us rewrite an export strategy so that we're branching out into the US, Germany and France, because they're the biggest markets that the University of Manchester highlighted for us. And this is research that would cost tens of thousands of pounds to get done privately, and we're getting it for free using Manchester University. We had support from the Department of Department of Work and Pensions, who helped with the Kickstart scheme, which meant that we got 3 fully funded under 25s to come work for us for 6 months. So this scheme's ended, but you've still got the apprenticeship scheme, which if you go to your local kind of unemployment office, you can find out what schemes are in place at your time, and that can help with employment and bringing people into the workforce, which is a really rewarding thing to do. And then if you want any other help with advice, reports, then contacting kind of your enterprise network and UK Innovate, Edge, as well as kind of your local growth company, whatever that might be. They are always on hand to help businesses to grow using advice and reports. Cool, right, so that's all the free stuff. You've run out of free stuff, and so we're now on to equity funding. So a word of caution with equity funding, you don't want to do this too early. So I applied for Gordon Ramsay's Future Food Stars, which would have come with 150 grand investment in Chulo drinks, but it would have come at a price of 15% of my business. So 15% of my business would have belonged to Gordon Ramsay forever and ever. So you've got to be really careful at what point you go for equity funding. So if you look at the graph that I did earlier, you start with yourself. When you've run out of money, you go for loans and grants. When you have exhausted those, that's when you want to be doing equity funding. Okay, so when you're preparing for equity funding, make sure you start your list early. If you know that in a year's time or 2 years' time, you're going to want to apply for investors, then start an expression of interest list. So this is a Google Doc that I set up, and over the time that I've been networking in the last 2 years, I've just been collecting people in a mailing list, in one mailing list, in one place, so that when I was ready to launch for investment, I sent out an email to that mailing list saying, right guys, time has come, time for investment, let me know if you want to book a meeting. And then you book a meeting, you pitch your product, and that's how you get investors. And that's how I got my first investors, was through people that I'd met at various networking events before. It's a really good idea to have in your head what tax breaks are available in your region. So in the UK, lots of people don't know this, we've got what's called a seed entrepreneur investment scheme, where you can get a 50% tax break on any investment. So if you have a business idea, really good one, and then a friend of yours gives you £2,000 towards your business idea, they can claim £1,000 of that back in a tax rebate, which goes against their tax. So you can kind of have these friends and family rounds where you kind of support each other and you get these tax breaks. They're quite stringent. You have to be in your first 3 years of trading, but have a good understanding about where your business is on those tax breaks before you start, because that could be a real selling point to some investors. A data room. So I didn't know what a data room was before I started. This is a data room. So if you want to screenshot this, I'm not gatekeeping any of this stuff, but a data room is basically a repository of all the information to do with your business. So you can see here, we've got organization, we've got legal, we've got marketing, we've got finance, we've got investment, we've got product, you've got data, and you've got a due diligence folder for somebody. But you can have a look at the contents, and basically whenever you do anything with your business, take it and put it in the data room. Okay, so when you get those reports from the University of Manchester I put them in the data room in data and research. If I read an interesting article on the grocer about soft drinks, I'll download it and stick it in the data room, because this is all information that an investor could possibly want about you, your market, your process, like where you've been, what you've come to, every set of accounts, every invoice and new customer. Just stick it in the data room. You'll thank me later. Trust me, building one from scratch is not fun. And normally when you're going for investment, there's a bit of a deadline as well. So definitely get on that. Another piece of advice is set up a LinkedIn page for your company. Even if it's sat there with 10 followers and half of them are your family, it doesn't matter. It adds credentials. So it means that when you see an interesting article, you can hit repost on LinkedIn and that will repost out to loads of different people. So definitely start your LinkedIn page now. If you can get a decent following, then it's free marketing. It's absolutely free. Like, to get into the eyeballs of 1,000 people on kind of a website in ad space, that will cost you thousands. So LinkedIn's a really great platform, and crucially free. When you're trying to find out what your company is worth, it's important to kind of justify your valuation. So you've managed to justify it because of all of these events you've done, all the different bits that I was saying adds to the value of your company. You can kind of work out where you sit. Another way to work out how much your company is worth is by looking at crowdfunding platforms. So this is all open source crowdfunding platforms. Find a business like yours, find out what valuation they're driving, download their deck, find out what the numbers are, and aim to be at a level that's similar to that, so that when an investor says to you, what makes you worth this money, it might not be the amount of revenue you've made, because it's hard to make revenue at the beginning, but it'll be to do with your potential, your growth, your team, and your experience. And that's why we managed to get quite a high valuation, because I've proven myself on the Gordon Ramsay show. I've got a great team, and our sales are kind of doubling month on month, which is really cool. Research on crowdfunding is like, I love it. I just stalk everybody's crowdfunding and look at what they're doing, because you'll probably have to go through that at some point. It might not be on a crowdfunding platform publicly for everybody to see, but you'll have to do it kind of behind closed doors with other investors. So definitely good. Have a look at their pitches and build a pitch deck. Okay, pitch decks take ages and ages and ages to build. But once you've done it once really well, that will keep you for quite a long time, and you can just adjust your numbers and some stockists as you go. But definitely look at that. And when it comes to finding investors, networking events are 100% the best way to go. When you get asked a difficult question, so start attending pitches, go to pitching competitions, pitch yourself just to investors or people you know, or to your family, and get them to ask you horrible questions, because it's only by being asked the horrible questions that you get really good at answering them. And basically, when you get investment from somebody, you need to be able to convince them to part with their money and trust you that you're going to do a good job. So I have a question bank, which I've built, full of horrible questions that I hate answering. But I'd much rather answer them in the comfort of my own home than answer them in front of a dragon or an investor and get it wrong. So build your question bank. Cool. So we're going to keep this to half an hour today. But my website is stephbuttery.com, and with the Purposeful project, I'm doing 50% off one-to-one sessions. So if you have a business that you want to go through, whether it be finance, business planning, strategy, goal setting, or anything like that, then that's a discount code for the one-to-one sessions. You can also buy Chulo if you're so inclined. Tim, I know, will give you a good reference. They taste great and look great. So they're at chew-low.com. Happy to take any questions for the last kind of 5 minutes. But if anyone's got any questions, that's my email address.
Thanks so much, Steph. That was incredibly valuable. We had some really nice comments in the chat. We'll just take a couple of questions. So if you have any questions, just put it in the Q&A. I had a couple of questions before the event today. One from Tim. He said, how important is it to be able to present yourself to potential funding sources? And what would you advise for people who get nervous doing this?
So you're never not nervous, like even sat down today, like there's no one here, but it's still it's just practice. You've got to keep practicing, you've got to keep outside your comfort zone. Like no one ever achieved anything in their comfort zone. It's just go to pitches, practice. And it's like, if you'd asked me to do a 60-second pitch 2 years ago, I would have just melted. But now I can do kind of a 60-second pitch, I can do a 5-minute pitch, I can do a 20-minute pitch, and I can do a 2-hour investor session. So it's a really interesting journey, for sure. But practice is unfortunately the only way to get over nervousness.
Anthony said, where did you put your investor interest form to capture interest? Was it on your website?
So I had that expression of interest link on a link tree. So link tree, you can have your store, your website, your personal brand, and it was just a investment expression of interest. But if you're driving it, LinkedIn is great. Loads of high net worth people on LinkedIn. Find them there. But also Instagram's great. Just anywhere that you put your website link, you can do a drive for like a month and just be like, hey, we're looking at investing soon, hit the link below. But I would recommend a link tree, because that way you can capture how many people have clicked it, because sometimes people click it and they don't fill it in, but I know that they've clicked it, which means that someone's thinking about it, which is always information.
Perfect. And just one more question we'll take. Ross says, what advice would you give young working class people you wish you had? That's a good question.
That's a really good question. Like, I don't come from money. I had a job which I managed to save some money. Don't quit your job until you've got 6 months is number one. But if you haven't got the money or the connections, the Prince's Trust and the local council and even the job centre are really good. Like, there's an enterprise scheme at the job centre where they'll give you an enhanced benefit to look into a business, and they'll give you support in starting a business. But there are kind of free ways, especially with like social media. TikTok's great, and building content. Just keep building it, even if it's a bit naff. Like, just keep building it and try lots of different things and work out what works. But go to your council, like the local council of Manchester, Manchester Central Library, every month do a free clinic where you go to them, you say, I want to start a business doing cookies on a Saturday. They'll talk you through all the options available to your region. And there's hundreds and hundreds, because there's all sorts of groups for all sorts of charities. You got the Prince's Trust is clearly the biggest and most well funded, but then you've got like minority groups, LGBT groups, religious groups. Like, everyone has a charity which will help businesses grow. So go to your central library, wherever that is, find out when their business clinic is on, and tap into the free stuff that's out there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Steph. And lots more questions coming in, but unfortunately we don't have time to answer them. So I hope Steph doesn't mind if you reach out to her.
Yeah, I've just realised that the address is wrong. It's Steph Buttery, not Steph.Buttery. So yeah, send me any questions. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. So everyone, this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel and will be up tomorrow, and I'll send an email with a link to everyone. And yes, sign up for Steph's one-to-one sessions. How much are they normally, Steph?
So they're a lot, but that's because it's my time. So they're normally £200, and we're doing 50% off, which is £100. But that's £100 deep dive into your business plan, and it will give you kind of an intro into the business. We'll give you a workable plan, and you'll go away with a couple of follow-ups as well. And I'm not just going to leave you like that. It's kind of a follow-up sort of thing.
Perfect. Well, have a lovely evening, everyone, and we'll see you at the next masterclass. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Bye.